with AMOR Zimbabwe Trust. AMOR Zimbabwe Trust is an organization that was duly registered under the Zimbabwe Registrar of Deeds in 2019 with the aim being to track the lives of persons with disabilities. As AMOR Zimbabwe Trust, our mission is to bring inclusive society and to promote the rights of people with disabilities through sexual and reproductive health awareness and advocate, which we in turn promote their self-empowerment. And as AMOR Zimbabwe Trust, we focus on helping persons with disabilities able to utilize their opportunities and services to foster self-reliance and build resilient communities to propel an inclusive, sustainable development. So as a trust, we've got some objectives which guides us, and our first objective is to redress historical imbalances in terms of access to resources and to promote an understanding and appreciation of the marginalized disabled persons within the boundaries of Zimbabwe. I think there are some key ways on this objective: historical imbalances and also the marginalized disabled persons. We are saying the marginalized disabled persons, they have a history of being discriminated. They have a history of being segregated. So it's our aim as AMOR Zimbabwe Trust in order to address those imbalances and to allow justice and fairness even on distribution of resources. There is also historical imbalance, like I said. It just try to indicate that there is a long history of discrimination that's existing in the communities that we serve. We know the mainstream is the main group in the society. They discriminate against persons with disabilities. So us as the organization, we are therefore into such anomalies exist in the community so that persons with disability can be treated also as human beings with equal rights as the mainstream. Our second objective is to develop the communities where all people with disabilities can have access to essential services so that they realize their potential. On this objective, if you are to look carefully, there are also some key ways that guides us. Develop the communities. What characterizes a developed community? Then there is also such that they realize their potential. You know, in the communities, like I said, that persons with disabilities, they are not
Still? I think Mr. Ives is having network problems.
No. Sorry, my network is acting up. I was on my second objective, on the second objective of AMOR Zimbabwe Trust, that is to create developed communities where all people with disabilities can have access to essential care and support services so that they realize their potential. Objective. So some key that communities and also realize their, like I said, in the community we have observed that there is injustice since persons with disabilities are having equal access to resources. We can't say it's a developed communities where mainstream can only have access to resources, yet the persons with the disability are not also having the same. It's like on a Marxist perspective, we talk of the haves and the have-nots. It's relating to disability now, or relating to disability issues. The haves are now the and the have-nots are now persons with the disabilities, which are not getting equal access to resources. For example, we can talk of distribution of contraceptives. Like I said, yes, AMOR Zimbabwe Trust will focus on SRH, that is sexual reproductive health and advocacy. On SRH issues, we can talk of distribution of contraceptives. Persons with the disabilities that are for granted, they are regarded as essential. They can't get access to those resources. So there is no balance, or there is no equity on the distribution of resources in the communities. Hence, we say we now want to try to redress those imbalances and make sure we have created a developed community where each every person in that community can have access to the. Our third objective, to impart knowledge, techniques, and skills to people with disabilities through career guidance and educational programs. Educational programs, like I said, you know, take a parent can have two children, one with a disability and the other with a disability. You can see put more or can provide can the children without a disability to the school, yet that cannot get the same privilege, cannot be able to access education. But now, as AMOR Zimbabwe Trust, we say parents, we have to treat our children with fairness. All children deserve equal education. We are therefore trying to so that they send all their kids, whether it's disabled and disabled, to school. We also impart skills that can allow these communities to be able to carry out their own projects. Those projects can allow them to sustain their lives, unlike living a life of relying on gifts from some other members of the communities. So as the organization, that's one of our objectives, try to boost the of persons with disabilities, to impart them skills so that they could be self-sufficient. Then our fourth objective, to promote a society where people with disabilities rise and voice matters. Key terms in this on this objective: a just society. Secondly, rights and voice matters. Like I said, since they are discriminated, their voices, their rights, they are not. And also, just because their voices are respected, we can't say it's a just society. So we want to try to redress those imbalances. We try to correct such anomalies that are existing in the communities where we live, where persons with disabilities are not treated as human beings, right? Our fifth objective, that is to sustainably develop inclusive communities through provision of quality care and disability and reproductive health services. I will explain in detail as we touch our sexual and reproductive health services as AMOR Zimbabwe Trust. Let's go to objective number 6. Objective as AMOR Zimbabwe Trust is to economically empower and to create opportunities for people with disabilities through projects and other technical and practical skills. Immigration. One, us as the organization, when you have this organization, which is called AMOR Zimbabwe Trust, which is in this disability, and aim is for the persons with the disabilities. Majority of our staff members are persons with disabilities. So we created employment through coming up with this organization so that people with disabilities can be able to work for that organization. Then employment can also come in this form. When we train the disabilities on technical skills or works of hands, for example, doing some projects on carpentry, farming, poultry rearing, pigs rearing, and etc. They are able to do their own, and they can be able to sustain their lives, and they can live a life which is a bit fair, unlike that life of begging. Thus, we are now trying to push them to move from a charity model of disability to a new model. People with disabilities can be able to look after their own. So these are the objectives for our Zimbabwe Trust. Like I said, our services, we divide our services for Zimbabwe Trust into, that is, sexual and reproductive advocacy, and also research services. Like, if we talk of cannot be successful without carrying out a proper research. And we cannot also be able to carry out a proper advocacy without carrying out proper research. So research feeds into advocacy. Research age. So let's take a look on our SRH services that we have as AMOR Zimbabwe Trust. We have got comprehensive disability sexuality education. Like I said earlier on, persons with disabilities, they are regarded as asexual. They are reproductive. So because of that, you see in the communities, when people see persons with a disability dating, they mock them, or it is regarded as a taboo. Persons with disabilities should not date. Persons with disabilities should not have their own families, but that's not it. So as the organization, we try to educate the mainstream and the community so reverse such misconceptions, and persons with disabilities are regarded as human. We have got also the things as the main. Secondly, we take a look at contraception. Like I said, in my Zimbabwe, I have noted that most of the organizations that are into SRH or sexual and reproductive health, they put the mainstream, they focus on the mainstream, and they neglect abilities. So you see, when information about contraception is being disseminated, their focus is only on the mainstream, which is regarded as because persons with disabilities are regarded as asexual, yet the mainstream is only regarded as those that are into SRH, we train the mainstream so that they can be able to accept that and treat persons with disabilities as with equal sexual and reproductive health, so that when district services, unlike getting them from the streets from a few well-wishers who better appreciate their disability rights. Then there is gender-based violence. Today we are talking of children's health. This group we have noted that persons who stay with children with mental health, they take advantage of their conditions. Persons who stay with persons sexual that we are across in the communities. For example, children with mental health, or even the adults who have got mental health, you can see persons take advantage of their condition. They sexually abuse them because they think they don't know their rights just because of their mental health conditions, which is not fair.